Need more grok talk? Well, you can catch new shows Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Miss a show? Not a problem. Past shows are rebroadcast here daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. Join us for 2 hours of unapologetic conservatism. And we're not just armed with opinions.
Rock Talk.
Alrighty.
Well, why don't you take it away with that announcement there, Steve? Yeah, there's plenty of monkey business going on.
There is plenty of monkey business going on. All right, May 7th, Expo Center, Radisson. Doors open at 4 p.m. This is the Expo Center, Radisson, Manchester, New Hampshire. This is the Defend Freedom Tour 2016. General admission, free complimentary barbecue dinner will be served. The Defend Freedom Tour is family-friendly and free to attend, featuring live patriotic music, a lineup of inspirational speakers, and a delicious taste of local fare. The 2016 tour will also provide immediate ways for attendees to volunteer to join our cause. Concerned Veterans for America fights for a free and strong America to improve the lives of veterans and to hold status quo politicians of all stripes accountable. I went to this last year. Had a good time.
Sounds good.
Army Sniper and CVA National Outreach Director Corey McGregor will be there. Patriotic rock band Madison Rising. Navy SEAL Gold Star Mother Karen Vaughn and popular country music star Ayla Brown. Same people pretty much as last year. It was a good show. It's a good show. Were you? I don't know if you went. Did you go?
No, I didn't.
It was fun.
I should try to go this year.
Free barbecue.
That sounds good.
It was good. Yeah, and the music was good. Ayla Brown's a great singer. Madison Rising. It's a heavy metal, patriotic band.
You know, the Brown family are good people. We only differ with them on politics.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. So, so that's that.
They're
Check
great
it out.
musicians,
We'll
too.
read this again. Oh yeah, they are. They're very talented.
His daughter is
Scott
amazing.
played guitar with his daughter singing, and it
she's
was
got
cool.
incredible voice.
She's
Yeah.
awesome. She's got the country twang thing down and everything. She's from Massachusetts.
I'm grateful to Scott Brown for a lot of things, but I wasn't willing to make him senator over policy
Oh
differences.
God, no! And he was really only the
Exactly.
he was the senator of the moment for Massachusetts, and has had absolutely no value since. He's really, I don't know why they lionized him so much. He, it was all press popularity media. He won the seat from a bad candidate.
Pickup truck
Right
driving around.
at the right time. It didn't result in anything. He lost the next actual election, and he hasn't been electable since.
If he had continued to run to the right, because there are Reagan Democrats in Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, going door to door for Brown in round one, and the Democrats come in and say, me and all my Democrat buddies too are going to vote for this guy. He could have kept those people. He didn't need somebody as bad as Martha Coakley, but he thought he needed to get to the left of Liz Warren, and that was his downfall. Yeah. And then he tried to split the difference or even get to the left of Jean Shaheen. And again, it's not going to work. No. And it was unfortunate. As a nice guy, but if he'd kept up the conservative message that he had in 2010, he'd have won all three elections.
Yeah, he would have. They all think
he definitely would have won in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So, I still got friends telling me we got to go moderate. McCain, has that worked?
No, it hasn't worked ever. It hasn't worked ever. It wouldn't even work with Rubio.
Well, I've been trying to make the case among the moderates and the Democrats, the working class Democrats, the so-called Reagan Democrats, that what's wrong with? Here's an idea, right? What if you want to have a lot of government? Local government, but you can't because you have this Republican president who won't let you. Well, that's where we are now in reverse. We want to have small local government, but it's getting harder and harder because the federal government is imposing more and more national programs on us that are causing the money to be filtered through D.C. and back with lots of strings attached, which means we have less control. Well, what if you just supported this crazy idea, and it's only a couple hundred years old, federalism, federal republic. You have a central government that does some things okay, and then the states do what they want.
We stopped teaching
people
that
are
in
free to
school,
move
though.
around, from town to town, to state, based on this idea of federalism, where opportunities are greater for different people. Some people thrive in that environment.
But the children.
So,
children.
Yes.
And who's going to protect the children?
And that's just it. People don't get it. When I was when NPR or whoever was here, PBS NewsHour.
Yeah.
Where they were asking the questions about being extremist. And I'm like, well, what's so extreme about the idea that local control is the answer to every single problem we have? There wouldn't be as much money in the federal government. It wouldn't be there. There wouldn't be as many lobbyists in the federal government because there wouldn't be as much money there to lobby for. You know, you'd solve the campaign finance issue if that's a problem for you.
But who's going to deal with the hurricanes? We need the FEMA trailers. Who's going to,
Calvin Coolidge got it right when he told his home state of Vermont, fix your own damn flood damage.
That's right. That's right. And that's it. You see,
Best
you choose
president
to
of all
live.
time.
You can choose to live in rich states or poor states. You know, people will say there's this and that, and everybody has to work it out. It solves a lot of other problems. But like you said, people were never taught that. They don't understand that we're not a democracy. No. They don't get that we're a federal republic of states that happen to have a federal government because that's been flipped on its head.
You know, we need more states to stand up and tell the feds, we don't want your programs, we don't want your money because we'd rather not send it to you, and we don't want your goddamn agents. And if they set foot in here without local accompaniment, they'll be
I'm just trying to figure out a really good way to ask people, why do you think your legislators don't trust you? You know, why do you think they want the power, even your local legislators, like in New Hampshire, tying us to Medicaid expansion, which loops money back through D.C. with all the strings attached? And, you know, yeah, we get the money to spend it here, but we have to follow their rules. Well, what if we have a better idea? Doesn't matter. We have to follow their rules. So why don't they trust you? And it gets back to the other thing I wrote this week about speech, you know, and all the other things. They don't trust you. They don't believe you. They don't trust you as a voter. They don't trust you as a person with a political idea or an ideology. They believe they're the experts, and they think the experts should all be down in D.C. where they make the decisions, and they are just here as placeholders to make sure those rules get carried out.
And that leads down the nastiest slippery slope of all. If you believe that the voters' opinions don't count, that what they say is stupid or foolish, that you don't need them, eventually you come to the conclusion that you don't need to persuade them anymore, and you just have a coup, and there are no more elections. Why do you need elections if you don't care what the voters think? And you know, if you get to that point, you've lost everything that the founders gave up their blood and treasure for.
Cruz said in the debate that I know where those ineffective bureaucrats are, and I'm going to fire them. Do you see me? I know where those people are.
Yeah,
I'm going to fire. That was pretty powerful.
Yeah, you should also see his performance on Hannity whenever that got aired, because like I said, the segment it should have been on last night was hijacked by Trump. What a surprise. And Bill Ayers, of course.
Well, this ties to Kyle Tasker in a manner, because I posted something yesterday that I found on NECN where I never go, but I happen to be looking at my work Twitter feed because I tweet for my company, and it's really hard because not a lot of people in the industry, in our industry, computer industry and logistics and stuff like that, use Twitter. So I end up having to grab all kinds of people to follow to look for things and tidbits about business and industry and forklift computers and all that stuff. So, and I come across this thing, and NECN, Kyle Tasker, and it said something about leadership in the House said something. So I go follow the article. And here we have the people who know better, Speaker of the House, Sean Jasper. We don't elect him. We try to do the best we can when they get here. Okay? Minority Leader, Steve Shurtleff. He had something to say, too. Where is it? Where'd it go?
Good old scared Shurtleff.
I would put burden somewhat on the voters. So basically they're saying, well, they elected Kyle Tasker 3 times to the House. It's their fault that he's here. So that's why the title is Kyle Tasker is Your Fault. Which leads us back to Elaine Andrews Ahern, who in 2014 said, Democrat, I think people are so unbelievably unsophisticated. They do not pay attention to the elections. They do not know who they are voting for, and they do not vote. It's a huge problem in the state of New Hampshire. Now, this is the boiling down of the ruling class idea that we are too incompetent to even choose our own rulers.
I'll take your elitism and match it, kind of thing.
Right.
Oh my God.
So this is it's in Concord. It's worse now than it's ever been, with Jasper and the Democrats pretty much running a center-left agenda right down our throats, and we can't stop them because the New Hampshire Senate is just as bad. And so this whole thing. It's what happens locally when you don't pay attention. We have these people not because we're stupid, but because we took our eye off the ball. A series of circumstances, including interference by Kelly Ayotte, U.S. Senator who's part of the D.C. ruling class, and a whole bunch of other things, kept us from getting the guy we should have had, which was Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
Well, it's a different perspective from this end of the table.
See, you need a new perspective.
Yes. But Codevilla, I think, was right. There is the ruling class and the country class, where the country class is the rest of us. And, the quotes that you read Steve, and put in your post are exceedingly illustrative of the condescension that the ruling elite talk about their voters. I mean, we talk about low information voters all the time, and we wish that they would become more informed, because
we certainly work at it every day.
But we do it from the aspect of that's part of your civic responsibility. But they also have the freedom to not do that as well. But those quotes, and I've certainly put up a bunch over the years, that shows that they really do think that voters are the scum of the earth in some cases. And right now, it's evidently clear when you look at the presidential primary, and the elite that just went to that island, 54 Sea Island. There's 54 biz jets that flew into for the hashtag Never Trump movement. They just don't seem to understand that more than half the voters, when you put Trump and Cruz together, that the electorate is telling the establishment, no, you are the ones.
70%.
It's 70 to 80%.
70 to 80% at this point are telling no establishment, you are the ones who are out of step with us.
And we got rid of Bush.
Right.
And you look at all the polls of what the D.C. Washington folks believe should be the agenda, and what we think should be the agenda, and it's always upside down, always lately. Yeah. And then they wonder why they're getting a revolt.
Exactly. And look at the alignments of the outsiders. I don't count Christie, but I mean, Trump's obviously smart, trying to suck in Ben Carson to try and catch part of his outsider vote. I think in the Cruz case with Fiorina, it was the other way around. She basically picked him and said, look, I've become more conservative over time. Cruz is the man. It's time for me to stand up.
Yeah. I like her progression, because I've had a similar progression in my life where I've gotten much more conservative over time, so
that tends to happen.
I really like that.
Well, I've gotten more libertarian leaning than not. The more I study our foundation and what they intended for the role of government to be versus the role of individuals and the role of civil society, because the three were supposed to be distinct. I put up a little graphic of the government taking from one to give to another. And
I like that, yeah.
Seth Cohen put a little comment out on Facebook saying, you continue to become more libertarian, huh, Skip? Or words to that
Well,
effect.
I think there's and I said this to him when I ran into him at National Public Access, there's really, you can claim it as libertarianism, but I mean, is that really what it is, or is it just it's just the same face of the same argument with two different names? There's a lot of things that are called libertarian that I defend as a conservative, because as a conservative, I'm defending them from 200 years ago. That doesn't suddenly make them a new libertarian idea.
No.
It's it's conservation of an original liberty idea. That doesn't make it not conservative. So, yeah, sure, you can say that if you want, and if it makes him feel more comfortable, great, good, more power to you. I'm all about your emotions. But I disagree that it's libertarianism.
I think what we support more than anything else is classical liberalism. I mean, look, the British parliamentary system reached its peak in the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries and descended thereafter, into more or less socialism. When you had the Magna Carta way back, you had the Bill of Rights in the 17th century, and a lot of the stuff that fed into what we use to generate our Constitution and Bill of Rights here. And, what was ruling Britain and what accounted for its incredible expansion and wealth in the 19th century was basically classical liberalism, which is another way of saying laissez-faire capitalism, or more or less libertarianism, plus the rule of law. And that's what our founders believe. And Charles C.W. Cook over at National Review, who is British, coined the term conservatarian, and I think that's pretty much what we are here. Most of us have slightly more affinity for law and order and a slightly more Christian pro-life outlook than perhaps the most rabid libertarians, but I mean, their positions are entirely justifiable based on minimal government interference.
That's why I like Cruz, but try to pull some of these libertarians into the Cruz camp has been difficult because they just get hung up on that. They think he's an authoritarian.
It's the cult of personality. Yeah. The accusation leveled by the progressive liberals in particular, and to some extent by the libertarians, against a good Christian conservative is he wants a theocracy. Yeah. No, the hell he does. Cruz, more than anybody running for president right now, except for maybe Rand Paul, who isn't running anymore, wants the federal government to leave the states the hell alone, doesn't want to overturn Roe versus Wade and replace it with a theocratic ban on abortion. He wants to return the power to the states.
And that's my defense against them. I'm like, who's the candidate who is most likely to return you to federalism, which is what you want.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's not anybody but Cruz.
Right.
Yeah, it really comes down to who gets to decide. Mm-hmm. That's really the main question. Mm-hmm. Who gets to decide? Is it a case of the government deciding for you, which is what, regardless of what the Bernie folks understand that they're going to get for free, it's going to be government deciding what you get, how much you get, and what quality you're going to get, versus somebody like a Ted Cruz who says, I want you to decide. It's sort of like what Bill O'Brien was trying to do when he was Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. Devolve that power out of Concord back to the local governments and to the individuals. I mean, that was the best interview I think I've ever had with anybody because of that one point. Where should the power be? Mm-hmm. And he got it right, and most Republicans don't understand that, I don't think.
Yeah, I do. Right. And we talked about this while you were out of the room, too. You know, there is this lack of education about what federalism is and how important it is to what you want. Go ahead.
I just put up a post last night from a bill in Mississippi sponsored by a Democrat. And I just sat there for about 30 seconds, and I couldn't even say anything. And this concerns about a bill that's going to require parents being graded by teachers. Now, think about this for a second. Teachers grading parents. And unless you are only a surface thinker, you ought to be overwrought with disgust over this. And fear. Fear. Oh my God. Because this is a huge stepping point off of to turning that whole relationship around. Now, I think we all agree. Parents need to be involved in their kids' education. My mother was. As I was growing up, I've tried to do the same thing with my kids, even though they got rather insulted and mad at times. But that's just the way it goes. Mm-hmm. But for the government to require that you, the parent who's paying the teachers' salaries, are going to be graded by these teachers, and that you have to participate in school activities as a matter of law? Oh, my gosh.
You must attend the speech today.
Yeah. All right. You will be made to care.
We will. We're going to take a really short break, and we're going to try to get to the subject I tried to broach in the last segment.
From the CNHT studios in Concord, New Hampshire, just a few blocks from the New Hampshire State House, this is Law Talk.